Wanda was already capable of killing Thanos in Endgame, but what if she unlocked her chaos magic early? What if she actually saved Vision? The impact it would have would be massive. There wouldn't be a snap, and Endgame would obviously never happen. But a Vision without the Mind Stone that gave him a thinking, feeling mind and heart, is that really such a good thing? Is it safe, or is it another universal threat? Today, that what if is exactly what we are covering. This is a big one, so let's get right into what would happen if the single most important death in the MCU never happened. Wanda awakens. Through the massive glass windows of the Wakandan citadel, the sky burns, but Wanda Maximoff doesn't look outside. She refuses to leave Shuri's lab. While the Avengers fight and fall in the trenches below, Wanda stays firmly planted by Vision's side, her eyes locked on the glowing yellow stone embedded in his forehead. She is not a soldier today, she is a guardian. But the front line breaks. The heavy, inevitable footsteps of the Mad Titan echo down the corridor. The reinforced glass shatters inward. Thanos steps into the lab, the Infinity Gauntlet humming with cosmic power. He swats aside the Wakandan guards like insects and fixes his gaze entirely on Vision. Wanda steps between a god and the man she loves. She fires blasts of red energy, but Thanos simply uses the stones to absorb them, marching relentlessly forward. He raises a massive hand, reaching directly for Vision's head. The sheer terror of losing him, of watching the love of her life be torn apart, fractures something deep inside Wanda's mind. She refuses to let him die. In that moment of absolute, unimaginable desperation, her limits break. She taps into something ancient and terrifying. An explosion of pure, scarlet chaos magic erupts from her chest. It completely rewrites the reality around him, vaporizing the Mad Titan and tearing his body apart on a molecular level, shattering the Infinity Gauntlet into 1,000 pieces as the stones break, including the Mind Stone. The dust settles. Thanos is dead. Wanda collapses to her knees, gasping for air, surrounded by the wreckage of the lab. Shuri, terrified but alive, marvels in amazement. She just saw one woman take down the enemy they amassed an army for. She had just finished backing up Vision's consciousness into her own network, ensuring that he would stay alive. But Wanda didn't know that. She pulled herself up, breaking down at what she thought was the corpse of her beloved. Shuri sat beside her and told her that there is still hope and there is still time, that they can save Vision. The hollow victory. She composes herself because she at least has something to cling to. The days that follow are surreal. Earth is safe, and the Avengers have achieved the impossible. In the Wakandan courtyard, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers stand face to face. The heavy burden of the past few years washes away. They finally shake hands, leaving the bitter resentment of the Civil War behind them for good. The heroes celebrate their survival, and Wanda is hailed by the world as the ultimate savior of the universe. But not everyone is cheering. Thor sits alone in the shadows of the Citadel, gripping Stormbreaker. He is consumed by a hollow, agonizing grief, devastated that he didn't get to look the Mad Titan in the eye and land the killing blow for Loki. And Wanda cannot bring herself to celebrate either. For 3 agonizing days, she paces the halls outside the medical wing. Inside, Shuri, Tony Stark, and Bruce Banner work around the clock, desperately combining Wakandan tech with Stark engineering to rewrite Vision's neural pathways to run on a synthetic battery. Finally, the doors open. The operation is a success. Wanda rushes to the table, tears of profound relief streaming down her face as Vision's chest begins to rise and fall with a pulse. She did it. Vision opens his eyes, but they aren't the warm human eyes she knows. They are a sterile glowing white. The color has completely drained from his vibranium skin, leaving behind a cold, ghostly shell. Wanda throws her arms around him, burying her face in his chest, sobbing in relief. But he doesn't hold her back. He simply stands there, rigidly analyzing the dimensions of the room. When he speaks, his voice is completely flat. Stripped of the Mind Stone, Vision is stripped of his soul. He is no longer a man. He is a hyper-intelligent supercomputer operating entirely on raw, unfiltered logic. Wanda slowly backs away, looking at the cold white face of the machine she just broke the universe to protect. The war was won, but as she stares into his unfeeling eyes, Wanda realizes that the world won that day, but she had lost everything. A dangerous Vision. While the rest of the world begins the slow process of rebuilding, White Vision doesn't rest. He quietly interfaces with the Wakandan mainframes, running a continuous hyper-accelerated tactical analysis of the Battle of Wakanda. He is searching for variables. He is calculating the optimal path forward to ensure Earth's permanent safety. He accesses the footage of Shuri's lab. He watches the playback of the exact moment Thanos was defeated. He analyzes the footage of Wanda Maximoff stepping in front of the Mad Titan, unleashing a wave of scarlet energy and shattering the most powerful weapon in the universe. To the Avengers, Wanda is a hero, but to a machine running on pure probability, Wanda is a terrifying anomaly filled with pure power. Vision calculates the exact nature of chaos magic. It's the spontaneous, unpredictable rewriting of reality itself. It defies the laws of reality and the universe itself purely on the emotions of a single human being. He revisits the thesis he presented to the Avengers years ago.
Our very strength invites challenge. Challenge incites conflict. And conflict breeds catastrophe. Oversight.
Vision's cold, synthetic mind reaches a dark conclusion. Thanos was a finite threat, but a being capable of altering reality on a whim is the ultimate infinite statistical danger. To ensure absolute permanent universal safety, chaos magic cannot be contained or reasoned with. It must be completely eradicated. Under the cover of night, Vision leaves Earth. He travels through the cosmos to the dying star of Nidavellir. The forge is completely dark, its rings frozen in space following Thanos' previous attack, and Eitri is left broken in the ruins. But Vision is a machine of absolute precision. He interfaces directly with the star's ancient mechanisms, bypassing the manual controls and forcing the massive rings to turn once more. He doesn't build a new weapon to wield, he makes himself the weapon. Vision carefully coats his entire vibranium endoskeleton in Uru metal, the exact same ancient magical material used to forge Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. He bathes himself in the concentrated energy of the star, fusing the mystical properties of the Uru with his advanced synthetic coating. When the fires of Nidavellir finally die down, Vision steps out of the forge as a magical machine hybrid. He is now completely indestructible, highly resistant to reality warping magic, and capable of absorbing and redirecting massive amounts of cosmic energy. In his eyes, he's the perfect protector. A new universe. Vision returns to Earth, but he knows all too well Wanda is fiercely protected by the Avengers and Earth's forces after killing Thanos. A united front poses the greatest risk, so he decides to go after Earth's defenses before his real target. Operating entirely from the shadows, Vision effortlessly hacks into Stark Industries. In a matter of seconds, he shuts down Tony's global defense grids, locks every Iron Man suit in its vault, and permanently neutralizes the Iron Legion before Tony even realizes a breach has occurred. Next, he targets the Masters of the Mystic Arts. Doctor Strange and the Sorcerers attempt to trap this new threat in the mirror dimension, but Vision's Uru-plated body simply absorbs the mystic energy. He shatters their spells like glass, incapacitating the Sorcerers through sheer, overwhelming brute force. Finally, he turns his cold, calculated gaze toward Wakanda, the very nation that built his new synthetic core. He doesn't wage a bloody ground war against King T'Challa and the Dora Milaje. Instead, he interfaces directly with their central mainframes. Using his intimate inside knowledge of Shuri's network, he triggers a localized electromagnetic pulse that permanently shuts down the city's energy shields. Since he is made of something much stronger than vibranium, he effortlessly tears through the vibranium mounds, leaving Wakanda crippled. In a matter of minutes, the most technologically advanced nation on Earth is rendered completely defenseless. The Avengers finally realize that the entity dismantling their world is the very man they fought a war to save. Tony, Steve, and Thor desperately attempt to intercept him in the ruins of the Avengers compound, but Thor's lightning is completely absorbed by the Uru armor, and Steve's shield is swatted away like a toy. Vision doesn't kill them. He calculates that their deaths are unnecessary to his mission. He simply incapacitates them with ruthless precision. But it's not easy. Even though he is encased in Uru, the battle with 3 of the strongest Avengers takes a toll on his body, and he feels the damage. Wanda's tragedy. The climax brings us to a shattered, isolated clearing just outside the compound. Wanda stands alone, the red energy flickering from her fingertips as the indestructible Uru-plated white Vision slowly descends from the sky. Vision lands with a heavy metallic thud. He doesn't pose and he doesn't speak out of malice. He simply looks at her with glowing, sterile white eyes. When he finally speaks, his voice echoes with a cold, terrifying lack of inflection. He merely states statistical facts. Wanda Maximoff, your genetic and mystical anomaly presents a 100% probability of universal destabilization. In the name of peace, you must be neutralized. Wanda is suffocating. She doesn't want to do this. Her voice cracks as she begs him to stop. She sacrificed her own sanity, broke the laws of the universe, and nearly tore reality apart just to keep this man breathing. And now, the unfeeling ghost of the man she loves is hunting her down precisely because of the lengths she went to save him. Vision attacks with cold, terrifying apathy. This being, this machine, it carried the face of a man who redefined love and grief for her, who anchored her after her brother's death, a man she let into her heart. And now, he speaks with a dead voice about the danger she poses to reality, when all she ever tried to do was protect hers. He fires beam after beam, and Wanda can't bring herself to fight back. She would rather sit there and take the blows than risk losing someone she loves again. Wanda realizes with horrifying clarity that her magic, the power she unlocked out of pure love, cannot save him again. She cannot reason with a machine. She cannot make him remember their life in Edinburgh or the quiet moments they shared cooking in the compound. She asks him to remember who he is one last time. But Vision simply tilts his head, his face an emotionless mask. Vision was a flawed operating parameter. I am the cure. She now realizes that her love is dead. He raises his hand, firing a concentrated blinding beam of solar energy directly at her. Wanda throws up a desperate shield of chaos magic, the impact throwing her backward into the dirt. She realizes she has to fight. She unleashes a massive torrent of red magic, attempting to bind his limbs and force him to the ground. But the Uru metal absorbs the brunt of her magic, glowing with a dark magical resonance. Vision walks right through her reality warping attacks as if they are nothing but a light breeze. He is a perfectly designed predator, one who has ascended past the limits of the world that birthed him. He closes the distance, striking Wanda with a devastating calculated blow that shatters her magical barriers. She falls hard, gasping for air, her energy completely spent. As Vision stands over her, his forehead gem charging for a final lethal strike, Wanda looks up into his unfeeling eyes. As Vision prepares to fire, Wanda stops fighting back. The red energy fades from her hands. She drops her defensive shields entirely. She looks at the cold, white face of the machine she created, and she accepts what's coming. But Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. She knows she cannot let this unstoppable machine roam the universe, dismantling the world piece by piece. With tears streaming down her face, she pushes herself off the ground. She doesn't attack his indestructible armor. She steps directly into his striking range, letting his hands wrap around her throat while emitting a burst of scarlet energy. As he begins to crush her windpipe, she reaches past the Uru plating, plunging her hands directly into his chest. She channels every ounce of her chaos magic directly into his synthetic core. She embraces him one last time, holding him tightly as her red magic violently tears through his internal systems from the inside out. He doesn't struggle. His programming isn't fast enough to react. He simply shuts down. The resulting explosion destroys White Vision completely, leaving Wanda falling to her knees, weeping, and completely alone in the crater of her own making. And that brings us to the end of this absolutely heartbreaking timeline. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why have a what if where you save Vision if you're just going to kill him in the end? I really thought about it. Why not go with a direction where Vision gets to keep the Mind Stone and lives happily ever after? But I think a good what if is at least somewhat grounded in reality. Firstly, nobody would have thought Wanda was capable of killing Thanos, not even herself, so they had to rely on Shuri getting the Mind Stone out. And I know what you are thinking. How can Wanda destroy all the stones? To her credit, she destroyed one of them before she ever had an outburst of chaos magic. I think it's not too far-fetched to say that she's one of the few beings that can dismantle all of them. But it's a what if, and we all take a few liberties here and there with our fan fiction. What do you think would happen if Vision would have survived? Do you think this is a likely path for him, or do you think even without the Mind Stone, everyone would figure out a way to at least not have a self-assured psychotic Vision? If you like these what ifs, let us know, and we'll come back with another one.